Okay, let's get started. Hi, my name is Nick Tran, VP of Marketing and Relations here at Postman. So welcome to this webinar. Super excited about presenting to you, sharing with you Postman Public Workspaces, something that we just recently introduced a few weeks ago. So it's live for folks using the Postman web experience. We consider it the most exciting update to the product ever. That's a quote from our CEO directly. And we think it's really going to change the way people use API or the way people collaborate on API development. Co-presenting with me, as you heard, Joyce, Director of Developer Relations. Say hi.
Hello.
And then we have our Chief Evangelist, Kinley, who's presented at many other webinars before.
Hello.
All right. Before we go any further, I have two quick questions for all of you. Raise your hand if you are new to Postman. I think there should be a poll that pops up. You guys see the poll?
I'm not going to raise my hand, but I see it.
Oh, there you go. Are you new to Postman? I'm going to say no.
I'm not allowed to vote.
I can't vote. All right, simple question. Let's move on to the second question. Are you an API producer or consumer? An API producer is someone that creates and builds APIs. API consumers are the ones making calls to APIs. Or are you both? Oh, I see the message now. Hosts and panelists cannot vote. All right. Now that we have that out of the way, I think most people have voted. A few housekeeping items. Attendees are all muted. So if you do have any questions, post them within the Zoom interface. We're seeing some questions already. We get asked also a lot as to whether this session will be shared. It will be shared. It's being recorded. It will be shared a few days after the event. And lastly, we have a really brief survey at the very end. And for all the people that respond to the survey, we'll enter you into a raffle for an Amazon $50 gift card. Okay. All right, so the agenda for this webinar, first we're going to talk about the evolution of collaboration with regards to software development. Also share with you some of the challenges we see companies face as they do API development. We'll then talk about how the Postman API platform addresses these concerns, and then dive into public workspaces, which is what this webinar is about. And then lastly, this is probably the most interesting part of the webinar. We're going to do a three-way demo. I don't think it's been attempted before on any of our webinars. But we're going to do a three-way demo between the three of us, showing public workspaces in action. So definitely hang tight to check that out. Okay. So now, when we think about the evolution of software collaboration, it's really been very code-centric, and we've seen what we've seen is it's evolved in multiple phases. In the beginning, there were the lone developer was building code by himself or herself. Then came collaboration within the team, within organizations, which is all good. And then, with the rise of code repositories like GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, etc., that enabled collaboration to happen beyond the company, beyond organizations. I have one question to ask all of you here. When you work with when you do software development, do you tend to collaborate within a team, or do you typically work on your own? So let's show this the next polling question. Okay. Oh, I didn't know that we could show poll results. So 77% of you say that you collaborate with others. Fantastic. So collaboration with APIs, however, is also, we believe is also followed a similar trajectory. But given that API ecosystem is a bit newer, tooling for APIs have been a little bit more immature, we're actually seeing two major challenges with working with APIs. I guess the first thing to say is that most APIs today that are being developed, they're developed tactically at the end of a software development project. As a result, APIs are like bolted on, added on, and the output of which is that most APIs are poorly built or hard to use. I saw this over and over at my past couple of companies I worked at, where it's generally an afterthought. Software development happens with coding first and then API last, which leads to really crappy APIs. I think I can say that. Second thing is that so once an API is built, right, then they become made available for consumers to use, and there's a whole host of challenges related to the consumption of APIs and making sure that you're consuming always the latest APIs, and how do you go about making sure that they're discoverable by your team, your organization, or even the world at large. So, when we talked about the evolution of code collaboration, we believe that API collaboration is actually following a similar trajectory. From the Postman perspective, there's a bit of some history here in terms of how we've approached making APIs really user-friendly. So the first thing to note, though, is that when we founded the company and developed the first version of Postman, we were just obsessed with making sure that developers can make successful API calls. And that's been true up until now. And why that's significant is it's a successful API call ensures that everything that you built is working, right? It gives you access to the things that are outside your reach, right? That are developed by others. Successful API calls means you have working software, that your teams are productive, and then hopefully your company is successful as a result. And over time, what we also saw was that developers wanted an easier way to make these API calls. So we introduced collections so that you don't have to memorize or remember what elements you need to configure or specify in your API calls to make sure it's successful. And then from there, we saw that people were then sharing their collections with one another, to their team members, to others actually outside of their company, and they shared it via email or copy and paste. And so we introduced workspaces, which allows teams to collaborate more effectively and just work within a single environment, where if someone's making an update to a collection of APIs, that they can, others within their team can see the changes immediately. So API collaboration, again, has followed a similar trajectory. In the beginning, it was a solo API developer working on his or her API. Teams were then able to collaborate on APIs, and then with workspaces, the entire company was able to collaborate on an API. And so the current gap as it stands is how do you collaborate on APIs outside of your team, outside of your company? So I think some of you are familiar with this graphic here. This is the Postman API platform. And we've designed it to address specific challenges as it relates to API development. And really it's become the platform of choice for businesses who see APIs as an important part of their product and business strategy. Just a few highlights of the Postman API platform. It lets you take that API first approach. It provides enterprise-grade features, and really importantly, which is really like the topic of this webinar, it provides collaboration capabilities, including what we're going to talk about: public workspaces and complete API lifecycle management. So to illustrate the importance of collaboration and how it's evolved over the years, we only need to actually look at gaming. So quick polling question: do you consider yourself a gamer? Yes or no? Ken, Joyce? So I saw a no from Ken and Joyce. I'm definitely a gamer, and you'll see why in a second. So, 44% of you are gamers. Fantastic. Love to play some Fortnite or something after this webinar. So gaming has actually evolved in a similar way. Here you have Wolfenstein 3D. I played it when it first came out. It was awesome. It totally transformed the industry in terms of 3D gaming, which was cool, but it was single player. The next evolution in gaming was the ability to play with others, multiplayer. And id Software created Wolfenstein 3D. id Software also created Doom, which really heralded in the era of multiplayer gaming, especially on the PC at least. And people were throwing LAN parties just to play Doom, and those were good times. And going beyond just simple multiplayer, of course, is massively multiplayer. Here you see Fortnite. All the kids are playing Fortnite. I'm sure many of you are playing Fortnite, where hundreds and thousands of players are collaborating, working together, playing together, conquering new worlds, and securing like awesome loot. And that's been an amazing evolution in how like gaming has really addressed like multiplayer. So what I'm getting at here is like with Postman Public Workspaces, we're essentially taking APIs beyond the realm of a team or an organization, and into the realm of a massively multiplayer experience. It's not that you can collaborate with your development team. It's not that you can collaborate with just the folks within your company. You can potentially collaborate with hundreds and thousands of other developers around the world. So a few highlights about public workspaces, and there's slides for each of these. Unlimited free collaboration with the largest API community. I'll talk about that in a second. It provides you a unified developer experience. Reach audiences quickly with simple access provision, and it allows you to manage a professional profile that can be visible to anyone on the API network. So first of all, unlimited free collaboration with the largest API community. You can create an unlimited number of public API workspaces, and they will always be free. Things you can do on these on the public workspace: you could comment on the APIs, the collections, and we're going to actually show that in action. You can watch an API. so that when someone makes a change to your API, you'll get notified by the app or an email. If you see a collection within the public workspace that you like, you can work on it by forking the collection to create your own copy. And of course, if this works, and Joyce is going to demo this, you can search through the entire universe of APIs. It could be your own APIs, your team's APIs, and as well as all the APIs within the Postman API network. And we're really super excited about that last feature. And hopefully it works in this demo. And then Public Workspaces gives you this unified developer experience for faster onboarding. Really, it just makes it so much easier to work with schemas, mocks, test monitors, documentation, the whole shebang. And you create a public workspace, you can share it with others, and they don't need to configure anything. They can just get going super, super fast. You can reach audience quickly with public workspaces. So as the creator of the API, you can publish it. And once you're ready to publish the API public, it's really as simple of I think it's as simple as you toggling a switch, and Ken is going to show that in a second. Of course, we take security very seriously here. So at Postman, and so we're working on introducing a new role. It's called the community manager role, to allow only specific people to make workspaces public, because you just don't want anybody and everybody to make some of your most important or workspaces within your company public. And the last thing is you can manage and build a presence within the API community. Postman has 13 million users, and the ability for you to have a public profile, as well as your team having a profile on Postman, really draws a lot more visibility and awareness of the work that you or your company have put out there. All right, I believe now it's demo time, and before Ken takes the ball, I think he's going to talk about the 3 different users in this demo scenario.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thanks for having me. So for the purposes of kind of the multiplayer demo here, we're gonna rearrange ourselves into a variety of roles. So I'm gonna take on the role of a product manager or community manager, someone who's kind of orchestrating all of this effort. And Nick's gonna be my engineer. Nick's on a team. They've been tasked with building a variety of apps and integrations and publishing content. And he's asked me to kind of find some APIs that they can use as part of their work. And then Joyce and Lucy are going to be just kind of public community members. They're not actually part of the core team, and they're going to show how publicly you can get engaged with this process. But with that said, let me take control away from Nick. Drop you guys here into the public workspace that I've created. So what you're looking at here is you're in the web interface for Postman. A lot of developers are used to the desktop console. This is the web experience. And if you're using the web experience today, this is the new UI that you should be seeing. So it's a whole new experience, but you land here on a public workspace. I tend to often work in my own personal workspaces, and I know a lot of developers do. So you can still work in your own space where people can't see your work and find your workspaces. But now you can take advantage of having team workspaces, as well as private workspaces that aren't discoverable, but you can invite people that you want on there. It's just not discoverable across your team. And then we're introducing beta for public workspaces, and I'll show you how that works here in a little bit. But let me walk you through kind of how I set up this workspace. So the purpose of this is a team workspace. I've set it up, given it a name. For this project, I went and found some space images. And so, Postman is very space oriented. That's kind of our creative theme. So I went to NASA looking for some space images that Nick and his team could use across the projects that they're working on. And so my workspace that I set up here, I've named appropriately. I've given a description of what it's about to try to adequately describe what's going on in here. And then I'm given by this overview page, which is available even once it's closed. You can get at this overview, or you can directly link to it. Everything in a workspace now has a URL, so you can easily find all of the parts and pieces. But this overview provides me of kind of summary of what's in this workspace and an activity of what's going on. And I got several getting started here, and I've got the sharing, which we'll talk a little bit more here. But I want to make sure Nick is actually part of this team. So I'm going to go ahead and invite you here, Nick, and add you to the team. But I'm going to make you an admin rather than just a collaborator. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save on that. Check your notifications, Nick. You should probably get a notification. You'll probably get an email in a little bit letting you know that I've added you to the team. If you don't, I can send an invite.
I believe I just got the notification. Let me check my email. And by the way, before you invited me to the workspace, can I search for it?
You can search for it and it'll be available in the search as part of the private network. It's not publicly available yet. So as a team member, because you're on our team, you can find this workspace and then you can add yourself to it.
So I think by default, you can create a private workspace that's just you, and then you can change the visibility to the teams of anyone within your organization.
Yep. If I had made this private, you would not be able to find it in the search. But because I made it a team, you can find it in the search and add yourself to it. But when all teammates, if you just added yourself, you would come in as a collaborator. You couldn't add yourself as an admin. But I could make it so that anyone that could come in here could be an admin. But I went ahead and gave you admin control.
It looks like I'm in. Awesome.
Cool. So I went and found this NASA API that I wanted to propose Nick's team's going to use. So under APIs here, I've got a space images API that I've added. I've got a overview page similar to the workspace overview, but this is an overview of the API itself. So there's details about what the API is, what it does, some of the activity, the version. But Nick and his team can watch this. So they can come in here and hit watch on this. And then any change that is made throughout here, I'm actually going to watch it because when Nick's team makes changes, I want to get notifications of what they're doing in here as a product manager to understand what they're building and working on.
So I can watch and follow an API. Can I watch and follow a collection?
You cannot watch and follow a collection. You can only watch the source of truth, the API currently. But I believe that's going to change. What do you think? Have you heard anything, Joyce?
I haven't. I only know it for the API specification.
Yeah. So I can, well, real quick, let me show you. I have my API is defined as an open API spec here. So I'm interested in only one API call from the NASA API. So I have it described here, the server URL, the basic search path, and the one parameter I want to use. There's more details to the NASA API, and there's other endpoints, but this is the only one that I want to propose for usage of the team. I don't want to inundate them with too many endpoints. I want them to be able to find space images here. And before I move forward with this work, I'm going to ping Nick again. We already did this. I should have cleaned out these comments, huh? So I'm going to ping Nick and say, is this the API you are looking for? Will it work? And I'm going to go ahead and ping you, and Nick should get a notification in your email.
I got the notification, and where did I see the comments?
You can follow it in the email. Should be a link that takes you directly there, or go under API, space images, and you should see
I'm
the
going to try
content.
the email. Oh, I got the email too.
Cool.
You should also get a notification in the notification bell.
Yep, got that. Cool. All right.
What I like about this is it works like Google Docs or others for me. Is like, there's all these different open APIs out there that I need to pay attention to, and I don't have the time to always go to the workspace and do that. So being able to comment and keep things localized here is really valuable and important to me. So, oh look, so Nick's responded, yeah, this is going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and run forward with this using this API endpoint for our project. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set up a collection that pulls specific searches that our teams are going to need. And so to do this, I'm going to generate a collection here for space images and give it a name. And then I can choose what the purpose of this is. Right now, I'm just going to be documenting it, but I also want to mock my APIs. But I've already done this for sake of not having a full live demo. I have this collection here. So if I click on the collections tab, it's also called space images, but instead of the open API, I'm given an individual request that is pulled from that open API for search. And then I went ahead and just replicated a bunch of times and added some basic searches, because there's going to be people on Nick's team that are going to come in here that may not understand how to adjust the parameters and play with all of it. So I'm going to set up a suite of searches here. And I know Nick is specifically looking for some rocket images. And I, again, to kind of accommodate people on his team that may, when they make this request, they get this JSON and their eyes might gloss over. I want people on his team to be able to just, whoops, I didn't want to go there. I wanted to go to visualize. They can click on the visualize tab and actually look through the images and see which images they want to use in their marketing materials. Because here's a pretty good looking one that they might want to use. And so, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of Elon Musk. And can I just see photos of SpaceX rockets?
Well, let me, yeah. So basically what I can do is, so if you're interested in rockets, I'll say, hey, there we are. So Nick's already asking questions about what's going on. I don't even have to ask him. So he's like already on each of these requests being able to say, hey, can we do for SpaceX? And so then I can come in here, and anyone on his team can do that. So I can duplicate this request. I'm going to rename it, get rid of the copy, and I'm going to call this SpaceX. And then I'm going to change the search. Let's go SpaceX and see what we get. We get some results back. Let's look at our visualizer, and it gave us some of the same. I'm guessing.
This is a real live demo after all.
Yeah. So let's just try SpaceX and see what we get. Oh, here's what's going on. Check it out. So I've been saving these and curating them, and I saved them as a local search. So you can use the local mock server to just get at a cache set that I've pre-chosen. But if you want to actually pull from NASA, you change the environment, and look, we've got actual SpaceX photos being returned now. So that was actually me saving each of these. I save examples for each of these when I make a request. And then I chose this collection. I said, well, I want to mock it. So I mocked this collection. You can find mock servers here. Here's a space images mock server. You can copy the URL. I've already got that in an environment here called local. And so what I've done there is I've cleaned up some of the images so that when people are making searches on the collections from Nick's team, they can pull from a curated list, or they can pull from the live source. And so it just kind of shows two different ways of playing with it.
I think you have another notification.
Let me look. Oops. I'm gonna hit save because I saved this guy. So got a new comment. Don't forget to sign. Thank you. I appreciate that. So one thing with the new UI, and I know Joyce wanted, there's a lot of flexibility here. I know Joyce wanted to show this is when things get busy, there's a lot that you can do to start making things cleaner and simpler. You have a lot more control over your interface. So if you're in conversation mode, Nick shouldn't have to tell me to go look at a comment. I should be tuned in here. I should be looking at my notifications and being able to see that Nick's messaging me, view their reply. And if I'm in full comment mode, if I want to have, say, Nick's got this open and he's working with it on his end, I'm able to actually have a conversation with him, make changes, hit save, and we can see what each other's working on and see the results. And if Nick or anyone on his team gets stuck somewhere, they can ask a question and I can change, add the parameter, add a new request, and then they can move forward.
So what kind of actions can you take on a comment? I believe you can delete them. You can
Yeah, so you can copy a link, you can delete them. And you can, the app mention is kind of one of the important ones, but I think we'll show a little bit more down the road as far as, Joyce as a community member, what she can do. We're team members. And so I think Joyce will give us a little bit more insight into what can happen there.
Yeah, and you're making comments at like a high level at the collection level, but if you're actually commenting on something specific, you can also resolve them too, so that you're not littered with comments. If you're actively working on something and commenting back and forth, you can actually resolve them.
Yeah, so you can filter down to inline comments for specific elements that you're working on.
Oh, look, it's Markdown supported too, so you can make your comments pretty.
Yeah. If you want to, if that matters, if you can, if you want to, because of the documentation that you can do. So one thing you make sure and look at here is your little nav bar here that you've got. You've got the ability to look at documentation. I haven't done a very good job of documenting this, but you've got Markdown and documentation control. You've got your comments thread. You can generate a variety of code snippets for this request. And this one is my favorite because I use this with the API a lot. I can actually get the ID for this request. And this really helps when it comes to making API calls to the Postman API, but that's probably a little too meta for this discussion. So with this said, I have this workspace now. I've got this API, which is kind of the source of truth. These are all the APIs that we're going to be using. I've derived a collection from it. I've iterated upon this collection with Nick and team so that it's got all of the searches that they need to do what they need to do. I've even created this kind of mock filter so that we can cache images locally. So we don't have to be hitting NASA's API every time. We can kind of curate them locally. And then the content or Nick's team can work with those images locally and not have to worry about that. I'm actually going to set up a monitor to monitor this collection because I want to, whoops, I think I probably already did this. Let's check. Nope, I don't have a monitor set up. So I actually want to make sure that this API is working as well. So I'm going to go ahead and monitor this collection. I'm just going to call it space images. And I'm going to use the actual live environment. I don't need to know if my mock's up. And I'm going to just run this every day and go ahead and create this monitor. Let's go ahead and hit run on it just so it shows up here in a little bit. But basically, if it ever errors out, any of these requests error out, it'll show here. And so it just helps me keep an eye, make sure that this API is functioning as expected and delivering the results that my team needs. Whoops, I should have just hit refresh before I close that. Let's go look at it again here. So yeah, it ran once and it's passed. 0% failed. Response time 1.61 seconds. So yeah, so I'm able to monitor it. So all of this gives me, I have one API, one collection, 2 environments. Oh, now I have 2 mock servers and 2 monitors. That's interesting. Once again, this is a beta. So so it's showing mocks and monitors when it's not. And then you've got your activity feed. And so I've got Nick on my team here. But this is kind of the point where I want to, all this work that I'm doing here, I don't want this just for my team. We have partners, we have community members, we have other folks that we want to include in this work. And we're going to add a bunch of other APIs here in the future, other types of space from other sources. And we want the public to be able to use these. So what we'll do is I can change the visibility of this to make it public. And so, it's going to make sure you want to do this because, as Nick said, this can be sensitive for folks. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And what this is going to do is it's then going to add it to the Postman API network, which has been around for a number of years. But up until now, you've only been able to publish a team profile, publish APIs, that was a recent addition, and then collections and templates. But now you can have workspaces. And if you go to the Postman customer org, this is kind of the homepage for this. You can see all of the different workspaces, templates, different things that we've been building as an org and publishing it here. And here's the workspace here that is available. Now it's publicly available, but my team page has a lot more prominence and availability. It's searchable by the Postman search. It's available by Google search. But then with that, I'll hand over and say, now the community can do whatever they want and find these resources and actually put them to work as part of their work. With that, take it away, Joyce.
Yeah. So if you were previously, working, Kin and Nick are collaborating on this workspace, and maybe your marketing people are like, okay, let's take it and let's get the community collaborating. So maybe somebody tweets about it. Maybe somebody includes a link to this workspace in a blog post or something like that. So hopefully I'm sharing my screen. And if you're watching at home, you can go ahead and follow along just like I am. I'm going to emulate your role in this demo. So you can see that I'm using Postman for web, just like Kin was, because all the cool kids are on web. So this link that you see at the top here, if you go ahead and find this link, I'll show you an easier way to get there. But if you want to just go ahead and find it on your own, you can find it. You can see that I'm in an incognito browser. So I'm not signed in. This is exactly what you see if you're not signed into your Postman account. And it looks very similar to Kin's version when he's working with Nick privately and also when he made it public. But what I want to call your attention to is this little call out here. There's 3 things that I can't do until I sign in, and that's watch elements. So that's watching the API currently. I can't fork collections yet until I sign in. And then the last thing is, like, Nick and Kin are having their cute little conversations back and forth. I can't actually say anything yet until I can't respond to things. I can't kick off new comments until I sign in. So just want to show you what it looks like if you're not signed in, but I can still go ahead and consume. I can poke around and I can observe and just visualize some of the things that are going on, but I can't actually do those 3 things. So I'm going to pop out of this incognito window real quick. And I'm like one of those chefs that has something cooked in the corner. But this, I'm again in my browser, but this time I'm logged in. So I'm here at postman.com, and you can follow along at home if you want to. This is our marketing website, and I'm actually logged in. So I'm cookied. Otherwise, it would be prompting me to sign in. I'm going to go ahead and launch Postman. Okay, so this is my very first view. As soon as I log into the Postman for web, this is my very first view. I'm here at the home. And we were previously, I think, Kin, you showed Explore, right? Explore, this is changed a little bit recently, but as Kin mentioned, this is the public API network. Previously, you had, I think you had templates and collections. We didn't have teams. Well, you had a team profile, but you couldn't explore by team, and you surely didn't have workspaces. And APIs was only private at the time. So this is a lot more robust now, this Explore tab. And I can come here and browse and, where was he? He said space demo. I can't remember exactly where it was. I can't remember if you showed the search, but I can actually go ahead and search for, if I'm looking for like space type images or space, There's a couple workspaces, collections, APIs, and teams that have the word space in it. So this new search here is kind of I don't know what we're calling it. Nick, are we calling it omni search, universal search? It's like you're muted, but it's
It's a Zoom webinar. Yes, I think we're referring to it as universal search.
Universal search. So this makes it super easy because like constantly, I work at Postman, so there's a ton of space themed things. And it's like, what did you just publish, Kin? Where's that mock that I'm looking for and so forth. And so this new search is available there. But let's go ahead and find workspaces. Kin, your marketing person just tweeted about your space workspace. Space workspace? That was poor naming. So I'm going to go ahead and filter on workspaces. And there's a ton of stuff here, but let's go ahead and take a look at the latest. Kin, is this your workspace that you just made public?
Yes, it is.
Okay, if you're following along at home, come take a look at this Public Workspaces demo. And in fact, we're in the web. I keep forgetting we're in the web. So I'll go ahead and drop a link to this in our chat. Actually, I can't find the Zoom chat. Kin, do you mind dropping a link?
I already did it.
Okay.
David Miller did it a little bit ago.
Oh, thank you. Oh, David Miller is on the ball. So now it looks very similar to the incognito, except it's not telling me, hey, you can't do these 3 things. Let's go ahead and do those 3 things. Okay, so the first thing that we can't do until we're signed in is watch an API. So here's the space images, that open API specification file. Here's what Kin was doing when he was designing and developing and blah, 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 all the stuff with that open API specification file. And now I can go ahead and watch it. Okay, I'm the second watcher. So now when he makes changes to the spec, I'm going to receive notifications and just stay on top of what's going on with the open API file. So that was the first thing that you can't do until you sign in. What was the second? Oh, yes, I remember. Okay, so now I'm clicking back over to collections, and I'm going to go over to this collection. And we've already kind of poked around here a bit, but now I can go ahead and fork the collection. So if I'm a community member, Kin doesn't trust me, or actually, this is the way of the web, right? So Kin and Nick are working on this API. They're working on their collections. They're working on all the stuff that's in this workspace. But me as an outside community member, I can go ahead and fork and create like Joyce's fork. And then I'll go ahead and work on that fork locally. And by me forking from the origin, I can now pull updates that Kin makes. Say a month from now, Nick is like, we need to add more new Rocket Company images, endpoints. And now Kin updates it. Now me as a community member, I can pull from the origin, Kin's origin, and I can also contribute back by submitting pull requests. So this forking is how the Public Workspaces workflow, the recommended workflow works. Do y'all remember what the third thing was on that list? I'm going to close these. I remember. Okay, so I'm going to go to one of these requests and I'm going to comment. So this toggle here, I'm on pencil, so I can actually, I can't send a request right now. I'd have to fork it and then send it locally on my instance. But right now I'm working off of the origin copy, but I can go over to comments, and I expanded this. And if I wanted to go ahead and comment at this mode, remember we were saying that the comments are at the collection. So Nick and Kin are just talking at the collection level. They're talking back and forth. But something new that came out relatively recently is in this comment mode, I can actually add a comment at various parts of, like, in this case, I'm at the query params or the body or so forth. So I'm going to say, like, well, this is an awful comment. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but I'm going to be like, what data type is this? Is always like clearly it's going to be a string, but like does it only take string and so forth. So now I've added my comment, and I'm an outside community member. I'm not able to make any changes, but I can at least collaborate and show Kin some of my feedback.
Hey Joyce,
Yeah.
why does it show private user and app user 8854915?
I think that might be a bug. This is still in beta, so I actually am not sure. Kin, do you know?
I'm the private user when I mentioned Ken, so I haven't made my profile public yet. So I think
Oh, you're a private user.
I'm a private user.
Kin, didn't you reply?
No.
Can somebody reply to my comment? I want to see what it looks like.
Yeah, let me go in.
And so when I @Kin Lanes, Kin, can you typically go and expand the comment area to find yours? I like seeing how people use Postman, but I always go to this bell notifications to see like exactly what happened recently. So if somebody tags me, I would see this in the notification bell.
Should see.
Oh, I tried to mention you, and it says I have to enable my public profile. So I'll do that.
That's correct. Yeah.
So I think if you should be getting a notification soon.
Okay. And if you're following along at home and you're signed into Postman, you can also comment on this. You don't have to find my exact, you can just add your own. And if you've never commented on a specific part of a request, it's really neat. Like this can be a JSON object and I could comment on a part of a JSON object. Here we're in like query param form.
It's Joyce, if you refresh your comments.
Refresh. Yeah, the inlines are amazing. And see how there's this resolve here? I don't have permission to resolve. I can't ignore what other people are saying. But if Kin is like, this is a, like we're done with this, we've resolved it already, then Kin can resolve it. And then it's available in this filter to kind of review later on if you wanted to go back to the resolved comments.
I just resolved it.
Oh, let me refresh my page.
You should just be able to hit
the filter.
Yeah. No.
It's gone. It's gone, but if I wanted to see the resolved comments, it still lives.
Yep, there it is.
Is there anything else you wanted to check out? Otherwise, it's back to you, Kin.
Yeah, so I think that really kind of for me shows the spectrum of the, from me wanting to collaborate on the team, and then out to the public, if we want to do the public performance around this. And we've got some great questions we can answer during the Q&A that kind of, I think, get at some more of this. But I think this really shows the spectrum of what we're trying to accomplish right now with this beta release. I think there's other types of engagements that we're gonna shoot for down the road. If you have partners and you don't want it to be fully public, I think there's some concerns around that. But it really opens up a lot of opportunities to kind of widen your developer portal and your developer community and make this kind of an iterative process.
I've heard some like companies just talking about their public APIs and how they're excited about just getting feedback from people that might be using their APIs or consuming their documentation, just getting that feedback faster or earlier in the process. It's a lot more collaborative. And I guess that's what you were saying, Nick, about the massively part of the massively multiplayer. You're no longer just collaborating with like your team or like a direct partner, but you're just opening it up to the world.
So go actually look at in the workspaces, you'll see there's a Salesforce public workspace, and they're actively interested in people providing feedback on their existing API, but also the next iteration. So I know they're very eager to get people's feedback. So if you want to do that, as well as Postman APIs, if you want to come give us feedback on our APIs, we've got a public workspace for our APIs. So you can see that live in the wild. But back at you, Nick.
All right, big round of applause for Ken and Joyce for helping me in this 3-way demo. I think that is a first for Postman. And thanks to the Postman Public Workspace massively multiplayer experience to enable us to do all that. Just a recap of the demo here. Ken, product manager, community manager, created an API within a workspace, a team workspace. He invited me to join in the team workspace. He had collections, he had APIs, mocks, and so on and so forth that he and I were able to collaborate on. He also, of course, shared the new Postman interface, and then we made the team workspace publicly available for everyone on the internet to participate. We invited, so Joyce was browsing around the API network. She found the public workspace. She was able to perform 3 actions, watched an API, commented on a request within the collection. We went back and forth with Ken and myself talking about it. And then she also forked a collection within her own environment. So really awesome demo. So how can you get started with public workspaces? First thing is go to postman.com. I'm sure many have been there. Sign up for Postman, especially the new web, Postman on the web experience, so that you can check out the new UI. You can start playing with public workspaces. I think there was a question about will this be available in the desktop app? It will be very soon, so hang tight. You can explore other public workspaces at postman.com/explore, and of course you can read about public workspaces within our documentation, learning.postman.com. Before I go to, I go to the last slide. Actually, no, this is second to last slide. Yes, so we have a short survey here, bit.ly/public-workspaces. Complete the survey, you'll be entered into a drawing for a $50 Amazon gift card. With that, we'll transition to Q&A, but before we take questions, I want to call out 2 events are happening really soon. One being tomorrow. We're going to do a Twitch stream with Abhinav, our CEO. An AMA with him, I think it's tomorrow at, what time is it, Joyce?
It's at 11 a.m. Pacific time, and it's going to be on Twitch and YouTube and Periscope.
Fantastic. And the other thing I want to call your attention to is our upcoming Postman Galaxy virtual API conference. This is taking place February 2nd through the 4th. We got some great speakers lined up, including Steve Wozniak and Dr. Ochoa. Of course, Abhinav will be keynoting the event. So you can register for free. And if you're interested in our workshops, there's a handful of hands-on workshops that you can follow along with, and you can register for them here. All right, I believe we're going to transition to Q&A.
Yeah, and if this kind of massively multiplayer collaboration is kind of inspiring for you, there's a few sessions at Galaxy that are specifically about public workspaces and how you can scale that up.
Awesome. So one of the questions I saw was, where can I find the community manager role? I believe that is under development and will be available soon.
Yeah, it should be in a future release, and you'll find it under as an added team role, I believe. So right now you can be admin, billing, collaborator. I think as a team you'll have that public one.
Okay, George asked, does Postman allow several teams that cannot see each other and each operate as a different team?
Not today. We don't have, but we do have on the public roadmap. I'll drop a link. I'll find a link to our public roadmap. We do have guest accounts, or we have multi-team coming, and we have guest accounts on the roadmap. I'll find a link and drop it in the chat.
Next question from Anonymous. I'm also thinking about the security, will those public APIs be scanned for any threats? Like if some cracker uploads a service where key secret are asked to be provided in the payload or stuff.
Yeah, so this is definitely top of mind for us. I would say several fronts here is we do scan for Postman API keys across our platform, as well as GitHub does it. If you leave any Postman API key secrets, we are working on for environments. If you don't, you need to learn, understand the difference between the initial values and the two different values in there, which ones get synced. That's a big part of whether your threats will get shared or not. But when it comes to security and like what's in these, we're working with a handful of partners right now to build collections that can scan other collections and other open APIs for common threats and vulnerabilities. And then we're working on baking those collections in as first-class integrations that can then be run on a regular basis. So definitely security is top of mind. Stay tuned for more on that.
And about secrets leaking, we actually scan for a lot more than just Postman secrets. I think we scan for like some of the top 20 most common secrets. I don't know that we do like SQL injections or stuff like that, like common threats, but the top 20 like most leaked secrets.
Yeah, I'm working with 3 different partners right now and on the top OWASP and building collections that will scan and do that for the APIs in there. So we'll be making those available. A couple of them will be published in the next couple of weeks.
All right, I think that there were a few other questions on the panelist view, but I can't find the panelist view in the Zoom interface.
I think I got most in the chat. I think the others were just around secrets. There was one around if you're using API gateway, they're moving towards OAS. I think they're alluding to AWS API gateway. And they ask, can we use JSON instead of YAML Open API 3? And yes, you can use both JSON or YAML. And we are definitely fully supporting Open API 3 as that central truth. But you can also use Swagger 2.0. You can use RAML. You can use GraphQL as well.
Okay, one final question. I know we're almost at time. I know the 3 of us did a lot of commenting. So it looks like we can comment only if we have a public profile. Do we need to enable it? What will be the disadvantages of enabling public profile?
Of enabling it, disadvantages of enabling it?
So first question is, do we need to enable the public profile to comment? I believe the answer to that is yes.
On a public workspace.
On a public workspace.
You can still comment on your team workspaces without being public. So I would say as far as the downside, I mean, think of it as your GitHub repo or GitHub user. There's aspects of your private that you would never want to see out there. But there's benefits to being a public presence on GitHub. There's social benefits, and that's pretty much the same with what you're looking at here.
You're building up your karma.
Yes.
But then you're on the grid.
All right, with that, I just want to thank everyone for attending the webinar. Thank you to Joyce and Ken for an awesome demo. We've recorded this webinar. We will be sharing it out. With that, I'd love to say again, thank you and stay safe. And see you on the public workspace.
Goodbye.
Bye.